What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. DJ Reacts. Got some real good, interesting TikToks, so let's go ahead and get into this content.
I'm so scared right now. So I'm minding my business, right? You fucking like this. Y'all hear that? What the fuck is that? Okay, I just realized you guys can see where it was from. It's from Sheen. That's it. I really like these. Oh look. What the fuck is this? What? I'm gonna have an anxiety attack, bro. What the fuck? What is this?
That's not real. No way. That's just not real. I've ordered stuff on Shein many times. Shein, whatever. But no, that's stupid. Why would they do that? It just makes no sense. I don't believe it. I think that's a fake video. Or an attention grabbing video because it got 1.4 million views. But no, most of the shit from that place is so thin. It's like sheer. Like most of their stuff is so thin, like sheer, very cheap. No, I've never seen anything like that.
On today's episode of Did You Know?
Because we tried to get animals to gain weight faster by giving them 20% and 40% of the ration as corn oil or soil. And sure enough, for the first couple of weeks that the animals were on the oils, they gained weight many times faster than ones just getting carbohydrate calories. But in 6 weeks, they all died of heart attacks. So we knew it was a good idea. It went bad somewhere. And they said, well, what do we do with this stuff? No farmer is dumb enough to give it to his livestock anymore. And look, we've contracted with farmers to grow millions of tons of corn oil and soil every year for the next 50 years. What do we do with this stuff? They said, well, it's not proven in human beings yet that it's dangerous. Let's convince people that vegetable oil is good for them. And they've done a pretty good job over the last 35, 40 years, haven't they? Go to the dairy case in the grocery store and you find 85 brands of corn oil margarine. That's how much they brainwash people. Vegetable oils can cause heart disease. It's a nightmare, said Dr. Edward Emkin, a specialist in food oils for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's really a nasty thing. We try to explain it. There's now total confusion for consumers. Why would there be total confusion for consumers? Well, that's because the truth is different from what you've been taught.
Yeah, all that's 100% true. You definitely should not be eating any cooking with any of that crap. Corn oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil, none of that. Ugh, it's nasty. You know, in like the Middle East and in Europe, or if you come from these families like I do, we grow up eating like really, really high grade olive oil with just pita, just pita bread, just dip it in some olive oil, pepper, and eat it. And so I get right now, California, well, not right now, it's like the last 15 years, California has been making the best olive oil. There's not a plug for olive oil, I'm just telling you. I get two of my bottles. They're one's like $95 and the other is $140. But it's the best, some of the best olive oil, and it's got the highest amount of polyphenols. That's the thing in olive oil, the ingredient in olive oil that keeps a lot of those people looking younger and healthy, and, all of that good stuff. So yeah, buy you some good stuff. I always said if I could find quality olives, myself, I would just cold press them myself because I have before, like small amounts. But yeah, it, if you just taste it, if it doesn't taste right, I don't. That stuff, I don't know what it is. It doesn't taste like anything. It's disgusting. I wouldn't touch any of that. That's why I don't allow myself or my family to eat in most places. Uh, just because you don't know what they're cooking with, you don't know what they're putting in the shit. And I'm real big on, making sure my food is very pure and simple, and not GMO anything. It's just a good way to be.
The Simpsons get it right again? Or is it just a coincidence? Fans are debating a possible Simpsons prediction about Donald Trump and Kamala Harris in the White House. In the past, the show had already surprised everyone by hinting at Trump's presidency long before it became a reality. Now, it seems they've suggested Harris stepping into power. However, with Trump's recent victory, that prediction seems uncertain. An episode of The Simpsons showed a female president dealing with the chaos left behind by Trump's era, wearing an outfit strikingly similar to Harris's iconic style. Could this be a glimpse of a future yet to come? Some believe Harris could still rise to the presidency in the next election. Others think The Simpsons missed the mark this time. It's another one of those intriguing mysteries only The Simpsons can create. Will this prediction still come true? Comment part 2 if you think we're in for a major twist, and stay tuned as we dive into more of these eerie predictions.
The Simpsons got it right again. This time, something that makes us think about the future. In The Simpsons movie, Springfield is isolated by a gigantic dome. It all starts with an environmental disaster caused by negligence and pollution. In the fictional world of Springfield, the city is sealed off to prevent its contamination from spreading. But this turns the place into a kind of prison. Inside the dome, resources become scarce, chaos spreads, and local leaders ignore pleas for help. These scenes reflect real challenges we face today: climate change, environmental disasters, and how our actions can impact the planet's future. Coincidence, or just another brilliant critique by The Simpsons? The question remains, what can we learn from this to avoid a similar fate? What do you think? Leave your comment.
Is a dried parasitic insect that you eat every day. Well, how is that possible? Well, watch closely. If I crush a small pile of these insects, scoop them up, and pour them into a vial of warm water, the water turns a deep red. This is used as a red dye under the names cochineal extract, natural red 4, E120, and carmine color. Carmine color is listed in the ingredients of this candy. So, this candy gets its color from crushed up parasitic insects. Guess which of these products have parasitic insects in them? They all do.
Yeah, that made me.
So scientists have found a group of people they call the X group, the haplo group. They did a study and are trying to trace back all the lineages all the way across the Bering Strait thousands and thousands of years ago. They took all the DNA, they took a bunch of DNA from all the indigenous American Indian tribes. They took the DNA from the European people, Middle Eastern people, all over, and to trace back their lineages, right? All the way back. They had haplogroup A, B, C, D. I think it was 4 groups. There's 4 groups, and they were able to, they was getting everybody, finding out that this group was related to this group, so they was able to connect everybody and how they all came from Bering Strait. But then they found 2.5% of all those people, thousands of people that they got DNA from, had no connection whatsoever to any of the other people, any other groups, because they all fell into one of those 4 groups. in connection with their DNA and everything. They found DNA that matched none of these groups. And they didn't know what to do. This is facts. Okay, this is facts. They had no other option but to call it the X group. The haplogroup. Because the other 4 were called haplogroups, you know. They didn't know what to do. So they started trying to research and find out where this DNA came from. So that 2.5% all were connected together, though, because they'd had the DNA from, some of these people came from Middle East. Some of these people came from Northern Europe or European. Some of them came from American indigenous people from all over the world. Okay? From all over the world, 2.5% of the people were absolutely different than the rest of everybody on this planet. But they were of all different nationalities, different connections. They was like, uh-oh, we don't know what to do. They still don't know where these people came from. They don't know where the DNA came from. They don't know how, they cannot track it back to the Bering Strait. So they've come up with this conclusion, straight up came up with the conclusion that these people, this DNA that they have in them doesn't come from this planet. This is not me just making this up. They're saying it. They're just not saying it. It's in the information. You gotta go look for it, find it. Now, the History Channel talks about it, and they admit the scientists have no clue. When you've got scientists from Harvard, from the biggest universities, some of the most intelligent minds, after all the research and the DNA and all that, they still don't know what the heck's going on, because they can research people all the way back to the Ice Age, but they can't figure out where these people came from. Then they started connecting the dots. Wait a minute. These same group of people have DNA from something the Smithsonian has. So they started figuring something out. Well, there is a lost civilization, they said, that mentions in the Bible. And they said it, they straight out said it. I didn't say it. They said Nephilim and the Watchers. They just come out and say it because they've done everything in their power to come up with where this came from. This DNA came from, where these people came from. And it's the DNA. Okay? Listen, it's the DNA. It's not the people that just got planted here. It's DNA that was injected or bred or something, hybrids into 2.5% of the population. So they've come up with, it's got to be the Nephilim. It's got to be that group of people, because that's the only group of people that they have documentation from, carbon dated copies of records stating that this being, these entities, these creations of humans and fallen watchers existed. So then they started doing more research about, went back to find where was something found. They want evidence. They want archaeological evidence. And then they found, Smithsonian, they busted the Smithsonian. No, this is on Ancient Aliens. They even come out and they went and got the records themselves. And they're just like, I'm happy that Smithsonian hid this from people for so long. Smithsonian dug up in West Virginia, Charleston, West Virginia, 10 Nephilim giant bone bodies. They measured them 8 feet tall. 8 feet tall. Measure 8 feet tall. Imagine a human being 8 feet tall that's healthy and strong and stuff. Imagine what they can lift and what they can do. And they're wondering how people did the movement of stones and stuff. Well, these are considered small in comparison to how big they believe that they were, but because of the DNA being diluted, they kind of got smaller, but they still had DNA in them, Nephilim DNA. They found 10 of these bodies, full skeletal bodies. They hid them. They hid them from the American people. The information's out there now. This isn't the only place they found them. They found some in Springfield, Ohio. Go figure, the place where they swear the dogs and cats are being eaten. You know, you have no idea. I'm telling you, there's no coincidence in the stuff that's going on our planet right now. They found these giant Nephilim bones all over the planet. It's all over the planet. Now you can't deny it because the truth is out there. So they got all that information, and they're going. But they truly believe, they have come to their conclusion. This is what That 2.5 population, that DNA that they cannot connect to anything else, is those people, those things, those creation, whatever. Okay. Now they go even further and go, okay, here's another odd thing, because they scientists are intelligent. They love to figure things out. I mean, they're OCD. I work with a bunch of them. I love to do research. I'm OCD. I will keep digging and trying to connect the dots until you come up with, wait a minute, this there's no coincidences. Then they go to the region of Basque. It's an area between mountains between France and Spain. Mountains, okay, and it's a big area. Small little town, but it's a big area. Mountains and stuff where things can hide. Nephilim can hide between France and Spain, where some of these people that they found, the DNA did not make any sense. It's here. 35% of the population of Basque, just of that population, the heritage of those people there, not people that came from other places and came over there, but people that were originated from there, 35% of them have Rh negative blood. That's a lot. That's almost half that have Rh negative blood. When you take into consideration only 15% of the whole world population has that, there's something going on here in Basque. Okay? Then they found out that those people are a lot of those people that are part of the 2.5 population of DNA they can't make no sense of. So they're saying, well, this doesn't make any sense. And they started doing more research, find out, the Rh negative people have lower than normal blood pressure, lower than normal heart rate, and a lot of them have an extra vertebrae in their back. Where did that come from? They're doing research right now. They've got multiple programs in the government where they're doing research trying to figure this out, because they are absolutely they're wanting to find where this came from. I know they know where it comes from. They already busted it out there. Nephilim, fallen angels, and by means of you having this does not make you not able to be born again, saved, or go to heaven. That's just a DNA thing. Now the scientists they've done everything they could to figure out where these people come from. So they said, well, the Rh negative, where'd the Rh negative come from? They can't find out where that came from. No way, no how. They've tried, okay? They said this Rh negative hadn't even come into existence. None of this until the colonization. It couldn't have been until the colonization of America. So the scientists go, so they came from somewhere. So they started going outside of America and looking around and trying to connect way in the past. There was never, they took the DNA of these people. There's no connection to any of them come from Middle East, any of them coming from any other country but Northern Europe. So the Rh negative people, aside from the 2.5% of the people with DNA that they can't figure out where it came from, and now that population they can be blue. It doesn't matter what your color of your eyes are. It doesn't matter what your Rh negative factor is, whether it's positive or negative. You can be either or. None of that matters, because they got the DNA from all nationalities and all manner of people.
Man, that was long-winded. I apologize. I did not know that was going to be 10 minutes of her just repeating this. I haven't seen this before. And I was curious about it because everything she's saying is true. I know it because I'm Rh negative and I'm actually part Basque. It's where my family's from, in the region of Austria and Spain in the mountains. And that's where most of the people there are, the largest population of Rh negative people are. I don't think they're Nephilim. Could be. I don't know. I found out about it because I was going to the Cancer Institute for 8 years. I got a lot of blood work done. And my oncologist was telling me about Rh negative, and so I just dove deep into it, and I was like, what the hell is it? So it's the rhesus gene from the rhesus monkeys is what she's talking about, the Rh gene from the rhesus monkeys. So, they're trying to say that everybody on the planet, should have the same root DNA. Everybody should come from the same place. And if you do, you have this rhesus gene. And then I didn't know it was 2.5. Last time I read about it a few years ago, it was 1.5. Might have gone up, but yeah. So we don't have the rhesus gene, and I have a friend that's Rh negative too, and she had an extra vertebrae removed. I didn't know that was a thing with Rh negative people. I don't have one, and I'm not super tall either. So I guess I do have very, very low blood pressure and low heart rate, but I also pump a lot of adrenaline, like 3 times the amount of a normal person. And so that was tough to deal with because I used to do Muay Thai. I used to travel fighting, and so yeah, that's and I only know that because of all the tests that I had to go through. Yeah, I wish it was cooler. I wish I had some some good traits from being Rh negative. I might, and I just don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I dove deep into this though, and everything she's saying, I've never heard the Nephilim thing. I've never heard that, but yeah, the Smithsonian. They've got so many lawsuits going on right now. They're sinking underwater because they've hidden giants, and not 8 foot like what she's talking about. Talking like 30, 38 feet tall people. They've hidden them, and so they're going through all these lawsuits because they're trying to destroy it. That way, they can construct their own narrative of how they want history to look, and they don't want the truth to be out there. So that's just my perspective. You can think differently, but yeah.
That new video from a deadly police shooting in Gary, Indiana. Police released 2 different viewpoints of the incident. They say an officer was attacked by a suspect with a machete.
Hey, how's it going? You got the PlayStation?
It all started when police started an undercover operation targeting a man who was robbing people that he met on Facebook Marketplace. But when he met up with the undercover officer, who was posing as somebody trying to buy a PlayStation, that man pulled out a machete.
Can I check it out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hang on one second. I'm gonna step off the side here just so I not get ran over.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, here.
So the drone zooms in right here, showing the suspect right there suddenly attack the officer with a machete. And you'll see that's the other officer in there rushing in to protect his partner. At that point, the other Gary police officers who were part of that undercover operation that you saw in the drone run in and shoot that 21-year-old suspect, killing him. The officer you saw there suffered minor injuries. The Lake County Sheriff's Department is now in charge of investigating what happened there. Just some incredible.
That's crazy. He tried to take his head off. That's crazy. That's your first move. That's where you're gonna go. Of course you're gonna get shot. Damn. He went for it. He tried taking his head off. I've never seen. Oof. Young folks, don't mess with anybody in their early 20s. Something's wrong with these kids.
Have you guys heard about Omar Odavi? This is him on this chair. Scientists are trying to study his blood type and the metal content in his blood because for whatever reason he attracts sea life. They don't know if it's mercury because he does have a high mercury count in his blood, but whenever he gets close to the ocean, animals are automatically attracted to him. They don't know if it's the magnetic field. They don't know what it is, but you can see here they were trying to do a control group study where there was another guy that went on the beach in this chair and nothing came, and he sits and all these sharks come, and you can see that there's some stingrays in there. It's quite incredible. I wish that, part of me wishes that I had this ability, but it does come with its downside. He has really poor circulation to his hands and his feet, so he constantly has to have them warmed and have heat pads on them. And Everest is out of the question because they would freeze off right away. But quite cool.
I don't want that ability because if I did and then I got in the water and I saw all that shit coming after me, I would shit myself.
Is there anything you can't have?
Well, I believe if you think that you can't have it, you probably won't have it. You have to go into everything with a positive attitude. They say that the human mind is only using 1% of its potential, and that if the human mind could use 3%, you could do literally anything. You could cure the major diseases. You could do anything. Just one mind in this world, if it could get up to 3% of its maximum potential. So let's say you don't get up to 3%, but if you can get a little bit more out of it than the 1%, I think you're going to be able to do pretty much whatever you want to do if you have the basic ingredients going in. When you say becoming anything, I think it largely has to do with incentive and drive and enthusiasm. And I've often said the happiest people and the most contented people that I've seen tend to be the people that are making a nice income, that really enjoy their life and their family life, and not the people of tremendous wealth that are constantly driven to achieve more and more success.
When is enough enough? Obviously, there must have been a time, a point, when you knew that you would be secure for the rest of your life, your family, your relatives, whomever. Why do you go on?
Well, I go on really because I enjoy it. I really enjoy when I think about my business. I think about it literally 24 hours a day, and I really enjoy it. If I didn't, I will stop. There's no question in my mind that I'll stop, because I do understand it's all basically a game. We're all here to play the game, and the people that enjoy it are the people that are going to win it, in my opinion.
Love Robert Walls. Good stuff.
So then when a person's sitting in a meditation and they're doing absolutely nothing, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and their body for the last 10 years has been going in traffic and getting angry and frustrated in traffic, and now they're sitting in a meditation at 8 o'clock in the morning, the body's going to say, hey, you're off schedule. I'm used to suffering and getting angry here. Yeah. So the body's going to start looking for that emotion, and it's going to start influencing the mind, and you're going to start getting images and memories, just so you could feel that emotion. Like now the person's back in the past. But if they become aware that they're siphoning energy out of the present moment into the past, and they settle the body back down into the present moment, that's a victory. Yeah. And those victories add up. And you're telling the body in that moment that it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind, and that's a victory. And then people get frustrated and they say, I can't meditate. Oh, really? Well, actually, you're doing it right. That's actually what meditation, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And then all of a sudden the body says, well, it's 8:15 now. This is when you normally, go get something to eat, and you have your coffee, and your body's starting to want to get up and do something. You become aware that your body wants to get up and move, and you're in the meditation, and you tell your body, You bring it back to the present moment, and you settle it back down. You are training the animal. That's a victory. Now you're executing a will that's greater than the program, because most people lose their free will to a program. Now you're telling the body, I'll tell you when we get up, not when you want to get up. You're not the mind, I'm the mind. And that's a victory. Now, we've done the research on this. If you keep doing this and you stay with it, sooner or later, the body's going to surrender to a new mind. And when that happens, Sean, there's a liberation of energy. The body is freed from those habituations and those emotions. The body's going from particle to wave, from matter to energy. And all of a sudden, you're dialing down the anger. You're dialing down the vigilance, and the body now is being conditioned to a new mind. That is the present moment. And when you're in that present moment, something really amazing happens. You forget about you. All of a sudden, you're not your face, you're not your culture, you're not your marital status, you're not your diet, you're not your past. You're basically just an awareness. You're in the unknown, and that is the perfect place to create from. So it turns out that when people do this properly, they heal themselves of anxiety. Why? Because they're no longer obsessing about some future. When they find the present moment, they heal from their depression because they're not a bit hopeless and powerless in their past. The body's conditioned now. And so then, when they overcome themselves in their meditation and they step out into their life, they are more present. They can connect. They are more patient. They are more loving because they overcome the animal part of themselves.
Yeah, I agree with what he's saying. People do run around all day, every day, just on autopilot. And it's funny, we have all this technology, but we're more separated than we've ever been. I've been meditating since I was a kid. I do it daily, a couple times a day if I can. But I can meditate for 4 hours, the evenings, just sitting there. Yeah, I'd say it's a good thing to do. I mean, the science backs it up, but science wasn't even there tens of thousands of years ago when people started doing it. I've got a video coming up on this guy, Danny Sheehan. He's really interesting because most of the stuff that you see, like the Luis Elizondo, the Pentagon CIA guy, that's his lawyer. He works with the Jesuits. He works with the Pope. I mean, this guy has personally been the lawyer and been involved in most of biggest conspiracy theories over the past 30 years. He's actually been involved in them. And listening to what he says is just really interesting. So I'm going to do a video on him a bit later. Yeah, it's good stuff.
There's going to be a video of an actual interview of an actual extraterrestrial being.
You know this?
Yes.
This clip is taken from the most recent Night Shift podcast episode. Daniel Sheehan, a legal representative for prominent figures in the UFO community, such as Lou Elizondo and Stephen Greer, claims to have knowledge of an existing interview with an extraterrestrial being. Watch the full clip and comment what you think below.
When the disclosure moment happens, there's going to be an aha moment, I think, right? Where there's a before this moment and then there's an after. And every day after that, the world is just going to be a different place. And I don't know what
there's going to be a video of an actual interview of an actual extraterrestrial being.
You know this?
Yes. You know, so I mean, I know that exists. And that's part of the crown jewels that they're not going to want to reveal.
But is that's on the table to come out?
Well, what I'm saying is that I talked to the person who was there, and that they've got this on film. And so that if you're really going to get down, when you say we get to the nut of the whole thing, that's the kind of thing that once it's shown to the American public, there's, you know, Katie bar the door. You know, there's nothing that can be denied anymore, you know, and up until now, even though you have David Grush, who's, you know, the person from the National Reconnaissance Office assigned to the UFO task force inside the Office of Naval Intelligence, comes forward under oath and testifies to a House committee, all on video, you know, and it only sinks into with about 2 to 3 or 4% of the people in the country because they're off doing something else. So the question is, how specific does it have to get? How graphic does the information have to be? You know, you always hear about, oh, why don't they land on the White House lawn? Or why don't they land in Central Park? You know, like Keanu Reeves did.
So yeah, see what I mean? Everything he talks about is super interesting. One thing that he talked about in an interview, he said that the U.S. government was working with a few different species of ETs, and they were allowing them to search for people that had higher psychic abilities because they needed people with higher psychic abilities to be able to communicate with some of the ETs. So they allowed them to be abducted. And that's a factual thing he's talking about. It's crazy. And when you get into, like, if you go read like the CIA documents on people like Ingo Swann, you know, he was the father of remote viewing, and poor dude was just a painter, had a gift, and you know, the CIA just assigned him a handler and then put him through all this training to see what he could do, and then started training other people to remote view. And it was crazy. He could not only remote view different places on the planet, he could remote view backwards and forwards in time on this planet and on a couple of other planets. And I was reading about one of the ones because they would just give latitude and longitude. And so he would have to look at that and see what's there. And he was talking about, he didn't know it was Mars, but he was talking about it looked like, you know, the planet was erupting or something, just explosions everywhere. And he saw these people in this cave, but they weren't people. And he said as soon as his consciousness locked onto them, they locked onto his, and it scared him so bad he never did that again on Mars. That's crazy. That's just interesting. It's very interesting.
The fact of the matter is they seem to be preparing now to potentially intervene directly to stop the thermonuclear war and to stop the total devastation of our ecological systems on our planet. Okay? And that means that the intervention is going to reveal their presence. And that's what's motivating a significant number of people in the Pentagon right now to be coming forward, trying to establish a systematic process for a controlled disclosure about their presence. Because they believe that if in fact this is is put off and the Defense Department continues to lie about this, then what's going to happen is when the intervention takes place on the part of the extraterrestrial civilization, it's going to be totally disruptive. That people are not prepared for it, that they haven't prepared to know how to respond to it economically, politically, geopolitically, religiously and theologically, you know, and philosophically. This is something that needs to be done at the academic level. All of these departments have to mobilize now and start to prepare our people for this intervention that's getting ready to take place. Okay, we want this to be as amicable as possible. We want to get on famously with the extraterrestrial civilization. We don't want to lose our sovereignty. We want to be able to maintain as much self-governance and control as we can on our planet. But the fact of the matter is that we have made the mistake of allowing 0.1% of the elite on our planet to take over and continue to run things for their own primary advantage. We are the beneficiaries, for example, here in North America, of a lot of the trickle-down theory of the advantage that we get from their elite rule. But the bottom line is that elite rule has led us to the edge of thermonuclear war right now, to ecological devastation. And so we've got to mobilize now. We've got to mobilize, we've got to educate our people, we've got to bring the academic community on board this, and this has to be done from the inside.
Okay, so I actually want to know what you guys think. Do you think that he's saying this like I mean, I know we're closer to nuclear war than we've been in the past 60 years, but or 50 years. But do you think that that's going to be an intervention? Just think about it. They're saying, so everybody pretty much knows that, you know, they went to some American and Russian nuclear bases and they disabled the US ones, but they actually turned on the Russian ones. So that shows capability, might show a bit of intent. But when Hiroshima and Nagasaki got nuked, 500,000 people just vaporized, nobody intervened. When NASA let a nuke off in space, which puts this insane ripple effect through the space-time continuum, nobody intervened with that, you know? So is it really an intervention? That's my question. That's my question. I don't know. Just showing that you have the capability to do something doesn't mean you intend on stopping it, and the proof is in the pudding. They didn't before, so why would it happen now? Maybe they were just trying to show superior technological capability. Probably, because the nuclear systems are supposed to be completely foolproof of being able to be shut down like that, way they're connected. So that's my question. Let me know what you think.
This is you, Daniel Sheehan, being given access to the darkest, deepest secrets in the American military-industrial complex. What did you find?
Well, what I did is I walked in and I was in this a comparatively small room. It was about maybe 20 feet wide and about 12 feet or so deep. And there were these three big cardboard fold-out tables. And they had like shoeboxes, these little light green, kind of government green shoeboxes with the little ties on them. And there was a microfiche machine that was there. And so I sat down and I took the yellow pad out and I slid it over behind one of the boxes so that if they looked in, they wouldn't see it. And I opened up the first box and they had these little film canisters of microfiche film. So I took the first one out and I put it into this old-timey microfiche machine and started cranking it and looking at it. It was all these documents. And I said, I don't know how long they're going to allow me to stay in here. And so I said, if I start reading each one of these documents as a lawyer, it's going to take forever. So I sort of cranked through them to see if there were any photographs anywhere. Nothing was there in the first canister. And so I folded it all up and put it back in. And I opened up a second canister, went through it, and they had a lot of documents again. I could see all the official stamps on them and the top secret designations, et cetera. And then I got to the third canister, I think it was, and partway in, there it was. Here was this series of photographs, black and white photographs of a crashed flying saucer. There wasn't any doubt about what it was. It was a winter scene. There was snow on the ground, and the saucer, it was a classic large disc saucer, about 40, 50 feet across, with a big dome on the top of it. And it had hit into this snow-covered field, and it plowed this big ditch all the way across the field, like the earth was all turned up, and it was stuck into the side of this big snow-covered embankment, stuck in there like at a 45-degree angle, just stuck in the side of the hill. And I could see all around it, there were these Air Force personnel. They were in winter jackets, with the big fur around the hood, and they were taking photographs of it. And I actually saw one of the guys in one of the photos. There were like three of them that I saw the photos, and they had one of these old-timey cameras, a movie camera, like with the two big round canisters on the top of them. So it must have been like in like the late 40s or early 50s or something, I figured. And so that and then all of a sudden I realized that in one of the photos I could see around the bottom of the dome of the crash saucer that was stuck in the embankment, these symbols. And I looked at them and I said, wow, look at there's nothing like anything I've ever seen. They're not Russian, they're not Chinese, they're not, hieroglyphics. They're totally unique. So I said, okay, I'm going to trace these because I want to make sure they're absolutely identical to what is there and that they're in the exact sequence that they're in. And so I did is I took out the yellow.
These are top secret files, Danny. Isn't that an act of espionage?
Well, no, I'd been cleared to see them. And so what I did is I took out the yellow pad, and interestingly enough, it's just one of those instinctive things. I opened up the yellow pad to the inside cardboard backing. And what I did is I pushed the backing underneath the microfiche machine and then focused the microfiche right onto the inside cover of the yellow pad so that I traced them identically, absolutely, totally accurately, every single one of them. And there must have been about 8 or 10 of them that were all obvious. And so I went out the door and I reached down and picked up my briefcase that was sitting there by the side, and I started walking down the hall. And all of a sudden, one of the guys said, "Hold it. Hey, hold it." And I stopped, and he said, "What is that you got there?" And I said, "Oh, that's my briefcase. I just picked my briefcase up," which was there. He said, No, under your arm. What's under your arm there? Both of them came over to me and kind of loomed over me. And one of them reached over and yanked the yellow pad away from me and then ruffled through all the yellow pages. And there was nothing on them, of course. And then he kind of grumpily handed it back to me. And so I put it back under my arm and just turned around, picked up my briefcase and started walking down the hall. I hope I wasn't whistling, to try to get, but I went down the hallway and got into the elevator. When I got in the elevator, I opened up my briefcase and put the yellow pad in, got up and went up the stairs, turned around and walked right straight out the door and went back to Jesuit headquarters.
It's hilarious how he's talking about stealing top secret information, and his rationale is, no, I've been cleared to see it. Yeah, cleared to see it, not cleared to take it or copy it.
Major base in the Pacific that we're virtually certain exists off Baja, between Baja and Guadalupe Island, potentially beneath the ocean floor. This has been monitored. We have hundreds of videos of the vehicles coming and going from that location and plunging into the sea and going down into and coming from this base. This is extraordinarily important for everyone to understand. Very importantly, there is some percentage inside our national security state apparatus that knows this to be true. Major base in the
Gonna end it on that one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments. See you on the next one.